Hello, this is Dorothy Smith. I'm your close to my heart independent consultant, and I am going to do project 3 today from Feels Like Home. So this is my round 2 on making this project, because the first time I did it, where everything came out looking nice, didn't show up on my video. It just kind of disappeared. The first minute and a half showed up, and then there was nothing else after that. So I'm not sure what happened, probably operator error. So anyway, here I am for round 2. And so what I'm going to do here is, this is the silver tinsel embossing powder that is being used on each of the pages of the Deluxe scrapbooking workshop for Feels Like Home. And I kind of saved project 3 for last, even though there are 4 projects. So this is what we're going to be embossing. That's what I'm going to be stamping, and then we'll be putting the embossing powder on that. And so here you have a whole bunch of diagonal lines. And it could look a little intimidating, but don't get intimidated. These lines are all 1 7/8 inches apart. And so you start off with a base line, and it's 4.5 inches from the right hand corner of the paper. And so I'm going actually from 7.5 to 7.5, because I'm starting off at the 12 at the index, which, you know, I wish I had turned my board around. So 1 7/8 is one small line right before the 2-inch mark. So it's right in between 1 3/4 and 2 inches. And this ruler is a little bit busy, and so it kind of makes me dizzy trying to find the pencil line in between all of these lines. And so you start off making your baseline, and then you put your 1 7/8 line on your pencil line, and then you just continue till you make 4 lines. Now this particular ruler doesn't reach all the way from one end to the other, so you have to scoot it a little bit. And I think I got dizzy trying to find the lines, and you know, I made one mistake, which will be obvious to you at some point, and it's not obvious to me when I'm doing this. So keep that in mind. So I'm making 4 diagonal lines starting off at the upper right and heading down to the lower left. So there's my 4 lines. Now I'm going to start over at the 10 mark, so it's 2 inches over from the 12, and go down to the 2-inch. So I'm going to use a little bit longer. I've got an 18-inch ruler, so I'm going to use my 18-inch ruler. I didn't use it for the 1 7/8 because it's only 1.5 inches wide. So that's the story there. So I'm going from 2 to 10 for the diagonal lines going in the opposite direction. So there's my first line. And what I will be doing, so I will continue to make the lines at 1 7/8, I think, but I think this next one isn't 1 7/8. I think it was maybe 2 inches, and I didn't realize it. But what I will do is take that stamping, the long stamp with the dashed lines, excuse me, and I will be putting Versamark on it, and then stamping along the pencil lines. So it's very obvious to me that the first square I made there is actually a rectangle, and not the nice little 1 7/8 inch size squares that will take the little 1.5 inch squares of paper that we cut. Now what I did, this is actually white cardstock, because I ran out of the background and texture paper that looked like white shiplap. So I kind of took one of the shin-hand markers and used a pattern from the other paper and made gray lines going horizontal So I kind of made my own shiplap paper, which was kind of cool, actually. It came out looking okay. So here I am making my Versamark stamping with that dashed line stamp. But once again, there's no problem with Versamark, but on white you really can't see where it stops and starts, and so you can kind of get some overlapping. Now what you could do to counteract this is if you've got a light gray pigment ink, and then you could use that to stamp, to wet up your stamp, and then you can see where you've stamped. And the gray would, probably go just fine with the silver tinsel embossing powder that we're going to use to put on the Versamark. So that I haven't done yet to kind of see, but I think it would work fine if you don't want to have overlapping Versamark. So this part is a little tedious because you're having to do a lot of stamping, and then after this, then you put the embossing powders on the Versamark. The Versamark actually stays sticky for a pretty long period of time, so you don't have to worry about it drying out. And then I did kind of think at one point that I wondered if you could use the silver shimmer trim instead of the embossing powder to do it. And I did play around with it, and I'll do another video to kind of show you the difference between what the silver embossing powder looks like and what the silver shimmer, or the shimmer trim, the silver shimmer trim looks like. And I didn't kind of realize it as much, but the shimmer trim is a much more bold look, and this look is actually very delicate. The final look from the Versamark and the silver embossing powder, it's very delicate, which goes nicely with the pale pinks and pale greens of this gorgeous Feels Like Home paper. So long run, I do like the way this the Versamark and this funny little stamp with the heat embossing, with the silver heat embossing. I really do like the way it looks. So I remembered to use my washi tape to put that in place. So, with all of this measuring, you didn't want things to go cockeyed. And so I kept my washi tape in place so that I could make sure and get my lines straight and not have my paper shift on me and get frustrated. So now I'm putting the silver tinsel, the Ranger silver tinsel embossing powder on my cardstock over the areas that I put the Versamark with the stamp. And it's kind of a mess. I have silver embossing powder all over my tabletop, so I'm going to have to change out my paper on the bottom there. But I made a big mess. Anyway, I had it all over the place. My husband was wiping all this glitter off my face. But you know what? That's how you know you do scrapbooking, right? Those of us who have glitter on our cheeks and our noses. So anyway, here's all my lines. And a couple of places it didn't stick, and so I need to kind of go over those. But see, there's a couple of places where there's some pieces of maybe I didn't get, I left a little blank spot in between maybe and didn't realize it. That's why I said it's kind of hard to figure out where to put your next. You see, I have my embossing powder all over everything. And so it's just like, okay, just get it out of the way and just start heating up the thing. I mean, it would have been really bad if my heater blower blew into my tray of silver embossing powder. Oh my God, it would have been all over the room. So anyway, the best thing to do with your heater is to kind of hold it on an angle. And once the little granules start melting, the little pellets start melting, then they kind of go quickly. So it's really better to start at an angle and get them going. I had so much heating to do here that I was getting a little over anxious, I think, trying to get it to heat up fast. And it wasn't. It was taking a long time to heat and melt. But anyway, this is me trying to get the heater to melt my granules faster. So, and you can tell, you can see where some of it's shiny. And so when you're picking up the paper, you want to make sure there's so many little lines all over the place that you want to make sure that you're not picking up on the edge of a line so that you smear it. So you just have to be careful and keep your fingers away from these heaters because they're very, very hot and they will burn your finger. Not that I know that from personal experience or anything, but ow. So here they are. I mean, you can tell that they're starting to melt, but it did take a long time. So I might play some music in here. Okay, I'm back, and I am going to kind of show you somewhat the rest of the layout. And this is a zip strip that I think is really cute, and I'm using that instead of the directions actually call for a 1/2-inch strip, 12-inch strip cut from the pink background and texture paper that has little plus signs on it. And what I'm doing here is just putting the 1.5-inch squares in place kind of randomly, and just to kind of show you what the page was supposed to look like, as if it was this, my first go around. So I'm not going to complete this because I'm missing the sticker and what have you, but I will show you where to put the various things, including the photo holders, and generally how the squares fit with the silver embossing lines that we've got. So I do really like this page. And I will probably use both of these pages, even though they're the same. Instead of it being a 1-page layout, I'll just make it a 2-page layout, and that will be just fine. And then I'll find, I think I have a bunch more stickers left on the compliments that can add to the place where the sticker was supposed to go, and add some of the sequins that are so pretty, the iridescent sequins that come with this kit. So I'm not going to put those on with this second videoing, but I'm going to go ahead and put the placeholders there for the 3x4 pictures, and this will be a side-by-side match of the first page that I made. So all my little squares, you just want to make sure that you put them so that they're not butted up against each other. And I've got some empty spots there, and that's where the pink squares are going to go, which of course are in the other room, because that's how I roll. And like I said, I'm going to get close, but I'm not going to be perfect here. And what I'm doing is just cutting off the excess of the squares. And you can see my glitter is all over the place. My goodness, what a mess. So wherever there's a white square is going to be a pink square. And then I'll put a sticker there. I'm going to go ahead and put down my little journaling strips so I can make some little notes on this page. And we're pretty close to being done here. So I've given you all 4 projects to do, and I might have an extra little video kind of showing a shortcut that I thought about. But I didn't want to make this video too long, so I'll make a shortcut video, and it will help you so that you don't get the extra wrong size of strip in there. And hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Please sign up and subscribe to my videos on YouTube. I'd love to